Good afternoon, everyone. So today we're going to be doing, Robert Dorval, our webinar on SAP Business One, the production module. So Robert, I'm just going to transfer this over to you. There you go.
Thank you, Tracy.
Okay, I can see your screen. And by the way, Robert, you just have to click on the top there, view everyone. It'll get rid of that thing on the top that we were looking for this morning.
It's not. It's something that shows on the side. You know, it's taking a quarter. All right. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this break. I'm going to talk about the production module of SAP Business One, but I want to focus more on the latest feature that was added with the 9.3 version, which was the production routing, something we didn't have before. And I just want to show how we can manage production with that and try to make a small comparison with the usual way where we were using multiple level bonds. So I would just show what is the difference between managing production in multi-level mode, meaning that we have multiple production order, multiple bonds, and while we can do the new way, which might not suit everyone, you know, but it could be for some interesting way to manage production, the routing mode where everything is set in a single production order. Along with that, I would like to talk of resource management, where we can, you know, see how we can manage the resource calendar, the resource capacity, to be sure that we don't overload the production on a specific day. So if I just start with this, I have a few pictures to show you. So multiple level, this is routing production mode. Multiple level routing, we will go and define multiple, small a little bit, but no, my example is based on a pizza fabrication. So if I want to produce my pizza, you know, I would have to first go on one machine and prepare the pizza crust. I would have to mix the dough and make, you know, extend it to make some nice round shape and stuff like that. I would have another area of my production order where I would do the tomato sauce, maybe somewhere where they would prepare all the topping, cutting, slicing the stuff that are going to put on the pizza. Another machine would be used to just grate the cheese, and then everything would go back to one single location where it would be assembled and later freeze and pack. So in a multiple level bomb, we would have, like in this case, 6 different bombs, 6 different production order, and we'd have to manage each one independently and to be sure that we go through the process. So if I do a pizza crust, I will have to take all the ingredients and then prepare semi-finished good, record a semi-finished good. I would put into inventory, and then I would be able to use it in the next step, which would be the pizza assembly. I would do that for all the other steps. So sometimes it could be more complicated, even if you have, I would say, if you've managed batch numbers and stuff like that, you know, it's a lot of numbers that you have to put in a system. So now SAP Business One allow us to do the production in a routing mode, meaning that in one single production order, I will have instead of having all those separate bombs, I may be able to define just some routing or just steps, I would say, where, you know, I will be able to record independently the consumed material, and only at the end I would be able to actually do the finished good, which would be the pizza itself. You know, we'll be able to, so at the end I will just put the pizza into inventory. So how is it done? You know, I will show you a live example in a few moments. But you know, when you want to create a production order on your BOM, all you will need to do is first, on the first line, is add a route stage and define it as any name you want. And after that, if we want some capacity calculation, because SAP you can automate a little bit, how much time it's going to take to do one specific task, depending on the planned quantity. You can automate how much time it's going to. So you need to define a resource, and along with that, you will have to tell how much resource I need to consume for each pizza I will produce in this example, or how much resource will be available as well, and the system will try to extend its production to fulfill the available capacity. So we will see, we'll go into the resource itself, one of the resource, look at the resource calendar, see how the resource capacity is managed over the calendar, how we set it. And then we will look at the production scheduling effect in a routing mode production order. Using the start end date, we will look at each step when they can start and finish and so on. And I will explain some options when we go here for the routing calculation date. There are 4 options we can get there. We can calculate from start date, meaning that each steps will start at the same time. So ACP will just put the same date so it will be the start of the production itself. Could be at the end date, so everything must finish at the same time, and then it will tell you when you must begin, which day. So it's not by hours, it's by day. Or something like from start date forward or from end date backward, where each steps of production will be sequenced like this, one after the other. And then you will have from first day to end date until you will know how much time it's going to take you to get to your production. So let's go to ACP, which is the most fun part of it. So here I have a production order already created, on the routing side. So you see that this is like a regular pizza where on the regular routing I would have, I think I have one also. I'll just compare. Let's open another production order. So this is one. So this is the previous, I would say, previous way, or it's still a right way to do it. It's just a different way from now. In the previous version of ACP Business One, you could only, if you had very complex scenarios, you could only do it via multiple level BOM, meaning that the main finished good will call some other BOMs. Like I would have to do a pizza crust, and then if I open this, I add my recipe for the pizza crust, and I would have also my production order for the pizza crust, and then I will have in that production order consume all the raw material, record the pizza crust as a semi-finished good, and then I would be able in this production order itself to record as a component of this production order, and so on for all the others. So so the sequence here is very important. That if you are in an environment where you prevent to use the negative inventory, this would have to be you have to be very careful on how you're going to record the production, because semi-finished good must be completed before you use them in the next production. With the routing, it's more flexible in that way, meaning that any part of it would be consumable at the time you want. So here I have, instead of having my pizza assembled in multiple BOMs, I have everything I need to construct my pizza. I have everything in there. It's in this single production order. I have my first step, which is the fabrication of the pizza crust. On that first step, I will use the dough mixer, and I would use some water, flour, yeast, salt, and sugar. So I know that this is only when I'm going to do this step that I'm going to use that. Then I have the cooking of the tomato sauce. I do it in a cooking pot with olive oil, diced tomato. So I have all my recipe, and when I change the quantity, if I change the quantity to 2,000, every single component will, as before, change to the new planned quantity as well. So what is different in this one is that now, like before, if you were doing issue components, ACP Business One would look at all the lines and just show you in the list everything that needs to be still consumed. While now we are defining with routing, when you issue component, ACP Business One allows you to select only the route sequence if you want that you want to consume. So I want to consume the material that we're using, the tomato sauce, and then I can select only the tomato sauce stack, and what I will get here is only the stuff that was supposed to be in that tomato sauce. So now I'm able to actually consume that. If I choose something else, I will be able to just get the cheese, for example. Or, still, if I want everything, I will still be able to do everything at once. I can say, okay, just take, as if I don't select anything, it will just bring me the entire production order. So what is fun about this is that I don't have to complete all those steps one by one, to be ordered to report completion. So if I know that I have made 500 pizza crusts, I can report them anyways, and I will be able to record that no problem. So I don't have, so it's more flexible on the production side. If the guys on the floor didn't, tell me what was used, what really consumed, I can wait a little bit. I can still tell that there was some production done. They will be able to deliver them, but still later we will be able to complete the real values of the components. So I will go to the routing date calculation. What it does here, it will, in some scenarios, it will decide each step. You can decide when it's going to start or when it's going to finish, and that can be used if you're using the MRP module. You would be able, the MRP module will look at those start and end date, and it would just pick that as the desired or required date for any particular product, and the MRP would make its recommendation to buy or to produce something else based on those dates in your production order. So it's not just the order date here, but it goes now line by line to look at everything. So you can play with those dates, so, or you can let the system decide what will be the required date, and those dates will be calculated according to the resource availability. When we look at this, you see that here the dough mixer was requiring to do those 2,000 pizza was requiring 20 hours. Numbers are fictive, it might not be the reality, but so I need 20 hours, and I see there, I can look at the resource calendar. I will see that actually, my resources are split between 3 days. I have what we call here single run capacity is the actual capacity that my machine can use in a single day. Here I have 8 hours. So I'm using 8 hours every day, and the last day it just use half of it. So the system did the calculation by itself just to spread the production over when we did the update start date forward. Now the date will probably change now because I have increased the capacity a little bit, but so we see here that when we look at this on the start date forward, and what it does, it will put the first routing or the first stage on the start date, and then will sequence everything, like I showed earlier in the on the PowerPoint. It would just make a sequence, each step following each other. So ACP Business One in that case is assuming that normally I should finish completely this step before starting the other one afterward, and so on. So when we look at this, it says, okay, you're going to start on the 23rd, that then it's going to take you 2 days. On the 25th, the next step will start on 25th, and then you will have some, this one is very long. It takes 100 hours to take that. So on 8 hours per day, it's spread over to like 2-3 weeks to do that. And then it goes to the day after this one and so on until you finish on April 19th. So if your production, of course, in many ways, it's not always a sequence like that, because I can do my dough at the same time as I cook the sauce, and I can start my assembly just a little bit after. So maybe my production scenario would be more on a start date. And if I change that, all the production will be moved back and everything will start on the same date. Of course, if I say get the assembly, I know I will do 1 date later, I will start 1 date later, I can still change that date, and adjust my production accordingly. What's important to know is that when the routing calculation here is done, it's only based on the actual time it takes to do production or a particular step, So ACP Business One will not change or spread the date, all automatically, especially if there is other production orders. Like we see here, this one, the grader, is -7, meaning that it's missing some time to complete the work. If we go see the grader itself, we see that on the 23rd there was 15 hours planned to do the job, but we have only 8 available. So there would be, in this case, what we would have to take some decision on what we could do to overcome this. Either we are going to spread the production on 2 days, so not finishing on the 23rd but on the 24th, or maybe increase the shift or go overtime and just increase the capacity for that day to 16 hours. So when I update this, I will be okay. So actually here, all I did increase on the capacity, but 2 production orders were already set to that day, and it did increase the capacity for each of them. So I would have then to take 1 production order and move it in my calendar a little bit to overcome this over capacity. So that's it for the production. Resource, now it was easy because everything was set already in my system. But if we want to look at more specifically the resource capacity, let's go for the oven here. Whoops. There's nothing for the oven. Let's go for the grater.
Hey, Robert, is there any way that you can use the English terms that are on the items that you chose?
Which English terms?
Well, when you were looking for the oven, like your SAP, is it because your data is in French? Is that it? Because like when you chose the oven, it was saying four.
Yeah, it's the code itself. The code, I didn't replicate the code, so my first presentation was done in French, but the description should be in English.
Okay, because your grader is good, but when you went into the oven, the item was in French. I just wanted to know if it was possible. Doesn't matter if it's not.
Well, I have to translate the.
Okay,
here.
Never mind. It's all right
depends what I have used in the code. So.
Okay.
Okay, so Here we're just looking on a general basis, migrator, looking at this calendar usage over the next few weeks. And we would see that, currently today and Monday, Tuesday, there is no usage at all. And I'm supposed to use my machine at least 8 hours a day, but there was nothing programmed there. So I have some free spot. I could move some production order over there to be sure that I can use that free spot. And over there, there's already some stuff scheduled on this production order. The demand was so high that it says we will need 86 hours to produce this. But on the day schedule you have on this production order, it's just impossible. So the system just did that, just put the quantity, the overbook quantity, and then we have to just go in the production order, and then we would have to decide what we are going to do to fulfill those extra hours. So maybe there we would have to change that to let's say we can start today. Try to fix that. And normally if I go back to this and I refresh again, expand that, still missing some time. So okay, so it didn't change the start date of this iterator on the 18th. No, it changed back to the 18th. I want the 13th. Update. Okay, if I do a refresh on this one. So, and now I have, spread my, so I still have to find a way to, so maybe there I would decide that I would increase my shift to make double shift, stuff like that on the next few weeks to try to free the capacity, which is very low over there. So the capacity of a resource itself, we go with the resource. When you're going to define the capacity, you have to define your resource in the resource master data. This is something you have since Business 1.9.1. But over there, you would define the capacity for each location you have, but actually one machine usually would be only on a single location. And on that single location, you would define how you break down your capacity for each day of production. Here I did a very simple breakdown where I have only 8 hours per shift and one shift per day. But if I was deciding that I would open a shift on a general basis for the next few weeks, I could change that to two shift update, and then I would have my capacity doubled, for the next few weeks. Then I would go there and just decide that from the 13th to, let's say, the 21st, refresh data, and then I would say I will set the capacity to my new level. We'll change to 16, and now I have, reduced again my overload over there. So 22 hours overload, and I will have to still have, maybe we'll work on the weekend, etc. So we can play with the capacity. So you have, it's not like a Gantt chart, but on the long term, you can see, if we go with the that you are able actually, whoops, close the window. We are able to actually, on a long term, decide or at least view how much capacity or how much usage we have of a single machine. So so resource capacity is very good if you want to manage or in some way follow what you are going to use with each machine. So that's about it. That's the new stuff we are I wanted to show with SAP Business One. I'm going back to my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so this is one of the scenarios we saw. We saw that as well. Okay, There is one other scenario that I didn't put in, I didn't illustrate it here, is the from end date backward. So instead of going from today to whatever it's going to end, you can decide to go from the end date and to which would be the required date or the delivery date, and then the system will tell you when at least you should start your production to get your produced good on time for your customer. So just small table here that will make a comparison between the multiple level bombs and the new routing bomb. Of course, the building a bomb before was very simple. You would just take the list of components, listed them, and tell what was a simple recipe telling how much you are going to use for each of them. It was quite simple. Now you might have something now more complex. You have to think about which machine is going to use it, how much time it's going to take for each resource, for each piece you are going to produce, and then organize your step in a way that it follows your production. But then after that, it's a single BOM and it's a single production order. So when you look at the production order, you see your entire production chain, at a glance. So you have a very good view. You see very easily at one glance on a single production order how well your production goes. Are you in time or behind, stuff like that. Easier to follow. You see the sequencing of operation. Of course, it is less flexible if you are using some products or semi-finished good that would be used later in other bombs, but multiple. Like I do a tomato sauce and I am using that into my all dress pizza, pepperoni cheese pizza, and other type of pizzas, the same tomato sauce. Then the multiple level bomb would be the more accurate stuff to do, because I would make a large recipe of my tomato sauce, and then I will be able to use it in 3 or 4 different pizza. While in the routing bomb, all the tomato sauce I'm going to create or going to use is going to the same single pizza. It's going to the same stuff. So multiple level bomb will allow you to make more complex production scenario, but sometimes it's less easier to follow because you don't have that single glance on your stuff.
Hey, Robert, I have a question.
Yes.
Can you just tell me what version or patch level did the new, more complex way of like the routing bombs? Since when was it available? This one?
It came with the 9.3 version of SAP, 9.3.
9.3, and is there a specific patch level, or it's all 9.3?
It's all 9.3.
Okay.
I think from the very first 9.3 we got that.
There was nothing added afterwards. Okay, thanks.
Not significantly improvement after that. No. So.
Okay, nothing was changed. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so if you find that you use multiple level bomb and you found it annoying to create semi-finished good that you would reuse and reuse and reuse, and any other step you want to avoid that, go for routing bomb. There's no semi-finished good that will be involved in that. You have all your single components, and then only the final product at the end. So that's about it. So if in anyhow you find that still managing or scheduling your production is not enough, it's not easy enough, or it's not actually suiting your production needs, there is still on the market some alternative, I would say production enhancers. These are add-ons. Actually, we have 3 add-ons that we handle very well at Forgestic, which are the Produmex WMS, which is more a warehouse management system, but inside of it, they put a lot of features that would improve or enhance the ACP Business One production system. While if you go for other solutions like BIAS and process force, these one are very complex, but not very complex. I would say very complete. I would say complete is more the right solution, because you are able with those to actually have some data collection from the floor. So actually people on the floor could enter data directly, their time, the produce, consume, and stuff like that. BIAS, process force offer that. They offer quality control management and many other features that ACP Business One on a basis doesn't have. If you're looking just for something that will enhance the production scheduling itself, right now Boyum is developing something called Boyum Cloud, and they focus on the ACP Business One production to enhance its usability. And currently they are developing something to I would say, how they call that, it's like a item builder, where you would define according to certain criteria, the system will prepare the BOM for you. But at the later end of the later this year, they say they would provide something to actually manage your production scheduling, and also they would have something that can handle automatically your production. And it will be a web application that will do that, and it will be connected to ACP Business One. So we are, we're following what's going on in there, and I'm quite sure this is going to be a great improvement to ACP Business One when this is going to be ready. So that's about it. If you have some question, I am there to answer them now. And if not, I will hand over the puck to Mrs. Tracy.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. So does anybody have any questions? You can either unmute or just send me a chat message if you do. And if you don't, well, thanks everybody. Thank you so much, Robert. Everyone, here's our contact if you need to reach us. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. We're going to be covering Boyum CRM for Outlook, which is really a nice, very inexpensive CRM that fits right into your Outlook. I'm really looking forward to that. So that'll be in 2 weeks. And if anybody wants a copy of this, I'm going to have the recording of it on our Forgestic YouTube page at the beginning of the week. So thank you so much, Robert. Really interesting. Thanks, everyone, and have a nice weekend. Bye, all.
Right. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.